So let's get going here. Maria Hoffman, welcome,
Hey,
welcome to Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. Very exciting.
thank you.
Yoo-hoo!
Thank
All
you. It's great to be
right.
here. Thanks, Neil.
Well, we're thrilled that you're here. Thank you so much for your time and your leadership through all of these years, all the business that you've done, sitting in the front row and just getting all good things happening. Why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of Reader's Digest version of where you're located, how long in the business, maybe, something about the number of transactions that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you. So thanks for having me. I work with my husband, John, and we are agents in Florida. We're in Tampa, Florida. And if you don't know where, Florida, Tampa is on the West Coast. So we face the Gulf as opposed to the Atlantic Ocean. It is a fantastic place to live. It is very affordable. So for those of you wanting to leave the state of California, should that ever happen, or I know a lot of you in California do send us referrals, and Florida is definitely a destination state. So we've been here in Tampa 25 years, and my husband and I work together. So anyone here working with a spouse, I feel you. And we can talk. We've got a support group that meets on Monday nights, and um, okay. Shh. Is John watching? Anyway, but we've been here. My husband was very fortunate to get involved with Mike Ferry back in about 2001. I was always in sort of a support role at home with the kids. We've got 3 kids who are now 20, 22, 20, and 16. So for a very long time, I, watched him go to Mike Ferry events, kind of, soaked it in, and got my license in 2000. I was a part-time agent. I stayed home, and actually what I did for him is 3 hours a day when the kids were in preschool, I would prospect. And so I learned right from the very beginning. That's all I did. I would call just listed, just sold, centers of influence, worked that way for probably until the market crashed, right? So 2008, 2009, when things started to get really bad, and John sort of looked at me. I was raising money for the PTA, and he was like, well, it would be nice if you could raise some money for our family. And so
Let me give you another hat.
Yeah, so that began my real estate career full time. I actually started working for him. Somebody left or quit. I was an assistant for a short time. I was like a listing manager, transaction assistant, and that I was horrible at that. I mean, I think I got fired, and I I became a buyer's agent. So that's when I really went full time, and so did that for 5, 6, 7 years, and doing that kind of work, as you all know, and Mike teaches, it's very time consuming. So as the mother of 3 kids, I begged and begged and begged my coach and my husband, please let me become a listing agent. And at that time, Neil, we had done REO. We had done REO work, which we got out of in 2011. So I don't know if anyone here was involved in that. And we made the decision to get out of that. So I had to stay and, be a buyer's agent for a while to replace we had to replace all that business, all that listing side business. So finally in 2013, they let me go out and go on listing appointments. So, and worked really, really, really hard to become a listing agent. It's a completely different skill set to do that. So since then I've been full time, and so we'll do. I think in 2016 was the first year that we broke $1 million in the commission, which here in Tampa, that's a big deal, because the average sale price up until this past month has been under $300,000. It's been between. I mean, at the bottom of the market in 2011, it went down to 138, and it just broke 323 last month. So,
wow.
Yeah, our average price is a little higher than that, but an average commission check when we were doing REO was about $3,400, and now it's closer to 12. So, just
You gotta
working
sell,
the mics. Yeah,
you had to sell a lot of houses.
a lot of
So,
houses, a lot
okay,
of work.
so you came in as a buyer's agent,
Hmm.
and you paid the dues, so to speak.
Yep.
Um, and how was the transition from going from a buyer's agent? And how many transactions were you doing as a buyer's agent, more or less?
I think the last year that I was a buyer's agent, I did close to 70.
70 transactions as a
Yeah,
buyer's agent?
yeah, and it's a lot. It's a lot, especially when you have three small kids. It was really, I was not home at night. I was not home on the weekend. I really wanted to make some changes. And so it was a big life decision to want to get control of my schedule and be around for my family.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. So the buyers that you were working, were they generated from the listings that John was taking?
Yeah, a lot of the time they were, and then also I was always prospecting too. So
Okay.
again, we really do work the Mike Ferry system. We even, we get a lot of agent referrals. We've been doing this a very, very long time, and make it a point to try to have connections all over Florida. So I would say 55% of our business was from past clients and centers of influence. So just, the school parents, the sports our kids were in. There were a couple of neighborhoods that I door knocked very, very faithfully. In fact, you just mentioned door knocking, and um, that's actually how we got into REO in the first place. I had knocked on a door, and a person answered the door. They were tenants. They wanted to buy a house. We represented them. They put an offer on a bank-owned property. It was a SunTrust bank-owned. They weren't happy with how the offer was received and the way the agent handled it. They wrote a letter to the president of SunTrust, and we were allowed to resubmit. And somehow they started talking with us, and that was how John really picked up like that whole it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of transactions, and that all came from me knocking on a door. He obviously picked up and did all the REO, but that came from knocking on a door. So I love what you said, Armand. I love hearing that.
Yeah, that's where it
Yeah.
comes from.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Good job. So you started the transition into becoming a listing agent. You clearly knew what was going on in the marketplace because of being a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had product knowledge.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you had to do to become this great listing agent? And when I say, tell me right now, you guys are in 2019, how many transactions did you do?
About 125.
And right now, as a team, you're on track for what?
Right about there. Right
About
about
the
there.
same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're probably gonna finish a little ahead money wise. Our average price is up right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So will you break 2 million?
No, I wish. So, I mean, I guess anything can happen. That's not a good affirmation. So, uh, no, I mean, our goal right now, and it's a realistic goal. I like just setting goals that I can hit, and the goal is 1375. And
1375.
yeah, and I know right where we are in relation to the goal. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So what was the transition and becoming the great listing agent you are today?
That's a good question. Number one, it was practicing. At that point, Mike actually was coaching us, and I did the presentation, the listing presentation every day. I role played it with a different role play partner. Um, and then we were coached by Steve Powers, which we still are. He's an amazing coach. And so literally role played the listing presentation every single day for about an hour. I mean, and that went on for months.
Okay.
And then just a lot of it was really the role play with, being able to set appointments with expireds and for sale by owners, because I had really only spent time on past clients and just listed, just sold, which great. I mean, that's easy. I mean, those are easy calls because people like you and they want to talk to you. I was scared to death of calling an expired and, or for sale by owners. So I had to get over all that and, and learn the objection handlers. And it was really role play.
So, so is it basically an hour a day of role play for the listing presentation? Was there anything else for the objection handlers and those kinds of things, or the
Oh
hour
yeah,
covered
oh
it?
yeah. I had a couple of different mastermind groups and little, competition little groups that I was in where, all kinds of different contests and things that we did to make it fun. I mean, we had one group where we needed to set 10 appointments a week, either listing appointments or for sale by owner previews. And we had little index cards and we would text each other. And, I mean, these are all people that we meet at the retreats.
Mhm.
Most of them were in other markets. So just being really, really engaged with other Mike Ferry agents that are out trying to do the same thing.
So being accountable with a
Yeah.
like-minded group.
Lots of accountability.
Got
Yeah,
it. Okay.
lots. Yeah.
So you moved through the ranks that way and started going on presentations. Um, was there anything else? Was there, I mean, is there any particular thing that catapulted you? How about the mindset? How about getting up and doing your job every day?
Yeah. Well, here's this, and here's what happened. I went to the first My Ferry event I ever went to was in October 2012 in Florida. That retreat, Hollywood or wherever that was. And I watched Valerie Caro give her bonus day presentation about her schedule, how she would get to the office at 6 and leave at 3. And I was blown away. And I was like, my jaw was like, right? Like, and so basically I concluded that like she loved her horses more than I love my children. And that's not a good realization to have, right? So I went up to her after the bonus day. I said, "Can I talk to you? Like, I need to know how this happens, you know?" And at that retreat, we set an accountability. I had to email her my schedule the night before of exactly what I was going to do. So I had it like written out, like get up, role play, go to the office, whatever that was. And I had mailed her $1,000 check. Okay. So she had the ability to call me or my assistant at any time during that day. If I was not doing what I was supposed to do, she could cash the check.
Wow.
So I did that for a good long time. Mm-hmm.
So that held you accountable, stayed focused, the scripts, the dialogues, going on the presentations, etc.
Yeah, yeah. Thank God, like Flagstaff is 3 hours behind, so the banks don't open in Flagstaff. I had like an extra 3 hours if I forgot to get it there before she could cash it. So
So oh, that's interesting. So there were times where you lost $1,000.
I think so on that one. No, no. But there were a few close calls where I mean it really made me conscious of what I was doing and not doing.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's fantastic. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about COVID-19. All right.
Can we
So,
not?
well, it's
Ah,
almost in the rear view mirror for some of
let's hope.
us.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
hope.
It's almost in the rear view mirror. But for some people, they're still in the middle of it because they didn't do what they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it. So
Yeah.
March comes, you got your goals, January, February, things are cool, they're hot, we're cooking along. So how did this affect you or did it?
Wow. Oh, it did. Absolutely. March comes, we're having a great start to the year. And right around, I remember it was like March 16th was when it just started to get a little weird. We put our house under contract on the 13th. And on the 16th, the inspector comes and he's got like gloves and nobody's allowed to go in the house. And it's just, all of a sudden we're starting to feel a little bit strange. And I love calling expireds. That's just one of my favorite things. And you start to feel a little bit weird calling, and we really had to listen to people and understand how scared people were, and there really wasn't a playbook for this. So I'm so thankful for the Mike Ferry organization, because that's when Mike, if you notice, really upped his communication. I mean, he was emailing, sending videos, twice a day, all kinds of things. And I really stayed tuned into all of that. And I realized that as he was communicating with us more, we need to be communicating with our clients more. They needed
Right.
to be hearing from us even more than they were already hearing from us. So I don't know about any of you guys on the call right now, but it seems like every transaction that we've closed has taken so many more hours of conversations, emails, paperwork, things maybe going sideways, talking people off the ledge, and so I think really that it's made us better agents and better people. And I think it's made our businesses stronger and better. So,
Certainly, we agree with you that those of us that have been working the business strong, and we also we became this virtual office on the 17th of March,
right.
and just had been focused, touching people, doing these group sessions, etc., reaching out to great agents like yourself, sharing ideas, helping us hold ourselves and each other accountable. So for that, thank you. I mean, it's been very, very helpful. Did you slow down at all? Did the business slow down for you, or you kind of just re-ramped it up? What was the mental side of it for you guys?
That's such a great question. And we really went into it knowing we've never really been through anything quite like this, although we had been through 9/11, right? We had been through 9/11. We had been through when the market crashed in a way, and
Were
we've been
you
through
there for the
hurricane.
Gulf? Were you there for the Gulf War? Or was
Um,
that before you?
that was before me. But hurricanes here happen. I mean, we do have times where things just go down, and nobody can do any business. So, and I just realized that, what, we have trained for this our whole entire life to be in this role. And like Mike said, there are still people that do need to buy and sell. And when I look at our numbers, actually, no, we did not slow down. We are pacing to have, I mean, one of our best. This was a great quarter. Our April was actually even with the year before, even though in Tampa, our new pending sales in April were down 41% in the Tampa market. Ours were even, so I consider that a win. And
You were up 41%.
yeah, yeah. And we have a amazing buyer's agent who's been my longtime friend, and she was our assistant. And then when I became the listing agent, she had been my assistant. She stepped into that role, so she's been with us a really long time, and just has been a real trooper. So everybody obviously had to work out of their homes, just like you did. I know you guys weren't allowed to show property for a while, I think, right? Or from what I hear.
Uh,
Yeah, you had little, things you could do, but we've had a lot of rules to follow, obviously, and but we've been more open of a market than maybe a lot of other markets in the country, so we're grateful for that. But a lot of the trips here that are normally planned in April and May, March, April, May, spring break type trips didn't happen.
right.
So that business has been displaced into, really right now. Yeah.
So that's an interesting question. You bring that up. Um, is your business seasonal that way? The people coming down, the snowbirds coming down from New York, or is the business you do in the city that you have, is it regular business, year round
Tampa
kind
is
of
more of
business?
a regular market. It's not a resort market. In
Okay.
fact, when I always look at the numbers, I'm always looking at the numbers, and about 24% of the closings happen in fourth quarter. Traditionally, our two biggest quarters have been second and fourth. First can be a little bit light, third can be a little bit light because our school starts really early, August 10th, and so a lot of times people want to write those contracts for school, and they're closed by August, and then
Okay.
it sort of picks up. So, you know, it's a year-round market though. It's not like a
Okay.
resort market, like say Naples or something like that.
Sure. Okay. So I want to go back for just a second. You said that you love expireds.
Yeah, I do.
Tell me, what does that mean?
I love calling expireds. I love just setting the appointments, just using the scripts and
So what
listening to
is it?
them.
is it because there's a system there for you that you can work? Is it because of the the thrill of the chase?
Yeah.
That not a lot of people are that good at it. I mean, what is it for you?
Well, we have a lot of people calling here. I'm not the only one calling by far. So it's definitely a challenge even to get through, more so than in years past. I like the challenge. I like, so those are the people that need us the most. They really do. I just get a lot of satisfaction, from finding that person that maybe just had a bad experience. They had a bad agent, and maybe they were about to give up on their dream of whatever it is they were trying to do. They've got a real problem. And in my own little way, I feel like I'm doing something to help them.
Right.
So
Thanks. Uh, but it's frustrating in the trying to get through to the people in the morning if you have also around you a lot of competitors, correct? So what's your secret sauce to getting through?
I calling early.
Okay.
you know and calling during different times of the day, because not everybody is going to pick up the phone early. I mean, you can't be first. If there's 10 expireds and you start at whatever time, you can't call everyone first. So whether or not you're first, you still I think it's the mindset, that you just need to call them at the right time when they're going to pick up the phone. So
Do you tend to call in the early evening for expireds? Does that give you an extra circle around?
yeah, I like Saturday mornings, and
Okay.
or even like Saturday, depending on the weather and what time of year. I like Saturday. I like weekends. Just you get a different group of people,
Okay.
and early, yeah, evenings too. I do.
Got it. Okay. Good. Okay. So it's post COVID. So here we are. We're on the other side, kinda. All right.
I
We've
like that.
got basically 5 months left. What's the
Yeah.
focus? What are you focused in on? You going to make any changes? Are you going to stay the course? What's your team look like?
Listings. The focus is listings for us. So, is that am I the only one? It seems like, right, everything that we have is selling. We don't carry a big inventory. We typically price our listings really well, and they do sell. But even more so right now, because the supply is as low as it's ever been, and I'm sure it is in your market. In Tampa, we're down to like 6,300 homes. I've never ever seen a number that low. In the worst parts of the market, it was as high as 27, 28,000.
Right.
Normally, right now, we run around, you know, 9,000. So inventory is low.
So
So
you're
it's really,
30%, you're 30%
we're
off of
down.
a norm.
Yeah, off
Wow.
of a low norm.
Of a low norm. Right,
I mean,
right,
it's
right,
been
right.
low for years, but it's even lower right now. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. So where's that business going to come from? I mean, expireds are expireds, but the truth is that
Well,
just by definition, less properties are expiring.
you're 100% right. In fact, I've really changed my focus this year because there just aren't as many expireds to call. There just aren't, and
Sure.
some of them have real. Sometimes it can be a health reason or something going on. So it's right here in my database. It is the past clients, and
Ah,
those are the people that, given, right, like the really low interest rates that we're enjoying right now. Um, uh, Anybody who uh, has been thinking about moving in the past and maybe didn't do it because the numbers weren't quite right, should be taking another look at what they can get, what their payment's going to be.
okay.
And I think that, I'm sure you guys are finding this, people are really looking at their lives, and if they are not living where they want to be, whether it's with COVID, if they're not near their families and they need to get there, or they need to move a parent down closer to them, right? Or
Mhm.
an in-law. If one of the favorite things I love is my kids are now getting to the age where their kids, they're getting out of college. Our friends' kids are graduating. They're buying their first homes. That is so fun. I love it. I mean, I look at these kids get out and what they can afford, because when I got out of school, the interest rates were like that. It was a whole different thing. So it's really right within the database. I think those are the special people that we're
Okay.
concentrating on.
All right. So you're going to double down on your database.
Yeah.
All right. What else? What other sources of business are you guys going to focus in on as the expired start to shrink?
Neil, thank you for asking that. One of the things that I took a look at this, and I was actually talking with my coach about it. We were looking at the number of agent referrals we've received, and just in the last couple of years, I was just counting back, and I've counted up, I'm up to 40 within the past 2 years, and so I think
Wait, wait,
as
wait,
we're
wait. Can I stop you for a second? You
yeah.
referrals that turned into money or agents that referred to you in general?
Both agents that referred to us.
Uh-huh.
We have a lot. I try to send out a lot of referrals as well, because when we're prospecting or when we have our clients that we're talking
Sure.
to and they're going somewhere, I always make it a point to want to send out a referral if I can. So, and I've met a lot of people, maybe even
Yeah.
in this Zoom call, and at the retreats, and we really make it a point to try to know who are the great agents in every single market. And to know the great agents in Florida, because I can't help everybody in Florida, but when people know you're in Florida, they don't always know the geography of Florida or where exactly it is. And I'll tell them, call me, because if it's not an area that I handle, I'm happy to just send you to the right person. I don't want anything for it, but just to make sure your person gets taken care of,
So
because
you work on being the resource,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that a percentage of those that you can't get, you're still going to get a percentage of them because you got more leads sent to you. So that's smart, really smart. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Well, it helps to live in a nice place that people want to move to. So,
Yeah. Do you have a business background? Did you go to from family or college? I mean, what is your background?
oh, I was an English major, but so
Of course, I would have guessed that.
yeah. No, my background was I worked selling radio and TV advertising when I got out of
Ah,
college.
okay.
So I worked in Chicago. I worked for WMAQ Radio. I sold advertising, which is basically like selling air,
Uh-huh.
and it's really expensive, and it takes a lot of money to make it work, and it does work, but you really have to sell. You have to have, I mean, I had a sales manager that basically we had to be out of the office all day. You could be in there in the morning, make your calls, but you were expected to be out of the office on appointments all day long.
And that's where
So,
you picked up this tenacity that you have.
well, I didn't realize how hard it would be when I started. I went, Chicago's like the third, it was at that time the third media market in the nation, and you didn't really get a job right out of college at a major market station. But I really didn't know that, and so I just went and applied. And my family had been in the car business. I had worked as a in the summers in college. My grandfather had car dealerships, so I worked in the summer. Selling cars, and I thought that was really fun. I liked
Right.
it. So
Good for you.
I, yeah, yeah.
Good,
So
good for you.
yeah, so I did that for 7 years, and then I married John. We came down here to Florida,
Hmm.
and we opened a restaurant. We opened a franchise, a bagel restaurant. So uh
How'd
and
that
he
go?
oh, well, am I selling bagels right now?
I
So
don't know that anybody sells bagels right now.
yeah, no, that darn Atkins, man, that killed us. Um, so no,
True.
we had that for 5 years. But we realized we didn't want more of those. We realized we don't want to have a bunch of these. So John actually went back into real estate. He had been a real estate broker up in New York, so he went back into real estate. I ran the stores, and then we sold them. When we started to have kids, we sold the store. It was just not what we wanted to do. So
So can I get a little technical right now? The phone numbers and things that you get, what service are you using? I'm always
well,
curious. You use Vulcan. Okay.
mhm.
Got it. And you're happy with the numbers and quality?
Yeah, I am. I've
Okay.
used them all, over
Okay.
the years, right? I mean, we've all tried all of them,
Sure.
and I think different markets, different numbers, they're, sometimes different systems are better than others, but I like Vulcan.
Okay. One of the agents had asked earlier, what kind of CRM do you use? Anything special?
For years we used Top Producer,
Uh-huh.
and there were just some quirks in it that we didn't like. We were getting bounced out with each other and notes, and we just switched to something called Wise Agent.
Uh-huh.
It's really simple. It's really simple. Lucy Ham uses it, and it's just a very simple system, so even I can understand it.
Got it.
So,
Perfect. Excellent. You mind taking a few questions from the group?
yeah.
Excellent. This has been great. So appreciate it, and appreciate your energy. I mean, you are just a bundle of energy right now. It's very, very cool. And you have the greatest smile. So thank you. This is really cool.
Thank you.
So Armin, you have a question?
You still door knock?
You know, I love to door knock. I have not door knocked during COVID, although I have talked like when I see people on the street, if I'm like on an appointment, you know, I will talk. I have not gone up to the door, but I love door knocking. It is my absolute favorite. Here in Florida, it gets super hot. You guys have the great weather for door knocking. If I were in California, I would be door knocking every single day.
So Maria, I'm curious, when do you plan on moving?
When do I plan on moving? Well,
Good job. Good
yeah,
job.
I'll move anytime. Someone wants to buy my house, they can have it.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so other questions? Other questions from our group here today? Go ahead, Josie, please.
Hi, Maria. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Jesse.
So you, in the beginning, you practiced an hour a day role play, objection handling, listening presentations, stuff like that. Are you still practicing an hour a day?
I'm doing a half-hour role play, so the honest answer to that is no. And do I need to? Yes. Because I think that the objections are there. I mean, they're the same objections, but we always have little things that change, especially in this market. Things are always changing, so we do have to stay sharp. So it's a half-hour role play, but yeah, I could do more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Appreciate that. Tess, did you have a question? Sorry.
Yes, I have a question because, being in the business for a while. First of all, Maria, thank you so much for doing this today. As far as the expired, I think right now calling it expired is just a mental thing. But I know that you seem like you have a very strong mindset on expired. What would be your follow-up on expired? When do you know that it's a good lead? That's number one. How many times do you follow up with those expired?
Wow, that's a great question. So, I'll look at where it is, Tess, and if it's one that if it's my neighborhood that I specialize in, right, or a street I specialize on, or something, a list something I want, I will. I would even go there, if it's nearby, if it makes sense, because it is hard to break through, and if I don't get them, they will list with somebody else. So, that's not for everyone, but if it's one that I really want, I would make it a point to go there and drop off our welcome package in a plastic bag, right? So, but I will with some even text. I still have the best luck talking with people though, honestly.
Got it.
Yeah.
So have you always been easy to talk to, or is this something that's learned for you?
Do you think I'm easy to talk to?
I do. I think you're
Will you
very
tell my
approachable.
children that, please? Are we taping this?
You are easy to talk to, and my suspicion is that you are very conversational in your approach with people. That's just my take on it, Marie.
Mike teaches us to give a lot of approval, and I really don't have a lot of people be mean and angry to me. I mean, that's one of the things we're all scared of when we're making calls, and we realize it's not about us. They're not mad at me; they're mad at the situation. I've had a few mad at me, but it's a learned skill. It really is, because I'm an expressive, and as you can see, I
hadn't noticed.
I have to make it a point to listen.
Okay, so that's a great point. On that, so where you normally tell you have to be a better question asker. So where did that switch take place for you? Was that in the listing presentation training? Where did that happen?
Oh yeah, that's the Mike Ferry system. I mean, that's in and that's in the role play. You know, when you role play with great partners that are so much better than you are, which was pretty much anybody that I could role play with was so much better than I was, that I just would listen to everything they said. And I noticed how they would ask questions that just led the prospect to that natural answer where you could ask for the appointment or set the appointment.
Cool. Good. Excellent. Other questions for Maria? Other questions for Maria Hoffman?
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead, Delroy.
Hi, Maria. Thanks for sharing. You said earlier that during the recession in 2006, you did like 70 REOs. My question is, were you in touch with a bank? How were you getting those, although, so many?
Oh, Delroy, that's a great question. It was probably in 2011 was probably our last year that we had REO. We picked it up in 2009. And that John had picked that up. I had knocked on that door, and then we got involved with SunTrust and then a few other banks. So that was, as you know, a very high volume business. And so that last year that we did the REO, that was probably how many, that was what we did. But we knew that we needed to get out of it because, Neil, it was starting to go away, actually. So we knew that it was not going to be, when you let all your business come from one source primarily, right? You're very vulnerable as a business person. And so like Mike teaches us, we want to have different sources of revenue. So, we knew that we really had to work hard to focus on the traditional business because that was going to be our future. And if we wanted to have a future in real estate, we didn't want to put it all in this one, in this one place. So,
and Maria, what you're talking about right now, we know a number of agents that were destroyed financially because they stayed with the REOs way too long, and that gimme kind of a mentality really messed with some people. It's a very dangerous place, and my sense is in the world today is that people think there's going to be a bunch of foreclosures and that they're kind of jockeying a little bit for going down that street. And the story that you tell is of caution, and the story I tell is of major caution, because it can really mess with you. Because the day the banks decide that they don't want to sell those properties anymore, you're out of business.
Right.
And you don't get the next day, you don't get the next hour, you're out of business. And they took all the properties in one felt swoop here back in 2011 or 12, and they sold them all to the hedge funds. And you thought you were going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in over the next few months, and all of a sudden you had nothing coming in. It was very dangerous. Be very, very careful, everyone, on that one.
Yeah,
you're very,
Neil,
very lucky, Maria, to get out of there.
Yeah, Neil, I don't know if it was Mike that said it or you said it. Somebody said it. Someone said, REO is like a bad drug. And I don't know who said it, but would you agree?
Oh, 100%. 100%, because every single morning, and we had a few agents in our company that did this, and I would caution them constantly. We never taught it as an organization. We taught a lot of stuff, but we never taught that. Because what would happen is you'd turn your computer on in the morning, and you'd have 2 or 3 listings there from a bank. Yeah. And it was sexy, and it was exciting, and it was euphoric, and it was all of those things, and it was like drugs. And then you do it the next day, and you do it the next day, and boy, at the end of the week, you had 5, 8, 6, 10 listings, and oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and then you were sucked in, and then it was gone. That fast.
Yeah.
That fast. And you all know, those of you that have been around the real estate business for a while, you know of situations like that. There are still people still paying off debt 15 years later because of getting involved in in the REO business. But
Wow.
anyway, we digress. So
Yeah.
other questions of Maria? Other questions? Go ahead, Albert.
Thank you, Maria, first of all, for sharing all your knowledge. And earlier you mentioned about dropping off a welcome package. Can you
Yeah.
can you tell me what does that package consist of, and what kind of leads do you drop off, and what is that whatever information that you drop off consist of?
Thanks,
Yeah,
Albert. Good question.
that's a great question. It's nothing fancy. I mean, it's the Mike Ferry, pre-listing package, and it's, again, that's for an expired or like a really hot lead or something that I really would want. And we just have a very nice, presentation. It's in a nice sort of box, and it's just a nice piece. And it's basically what Mike teaches, with references, there's testimonials, the marketing listing plan of action. So
Cool. All
pretty
right.
simple. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good question, Albert. Other questions for Maria as we wind down here today? Robert, please.
So Maria, I know listings are the name of the game, but we obviously still work with buyers. And you mentioned that your last year as a buyer's agent, you closed 70 buyers. So obviously you had some very strict guidelines, rules for working with buyers. Can you kind of walk through some of those?
Yeah, absolutely. And I still do. I mean, and I right now I do still work with buyers. In fact, our buyer's agent had it happen that she got exposed to somebody with COVID, and she had a quarantine for 2 weeks. So guess what? I've just been a buyer's agent for the last 2 weeks. I love working with buyers. I've taken Mike's buyer efficiency class, I think, twice. There is a course that MFO offers, and I had gone through that twice. And having number one, a minimum standard, a written minimum standard for the buyers that you're going to work with. So written minimum standard, and that's going to be different for everybody. For me, it was somebody that was ready to buy right now. Somebody that was only looking in my area, because you get those buyers that say, well, maybe I'll buy in Boca or maybe I'll buy in Tampa. No, right? And they had to be pre-approved or willing to get pre-approved, or if they were a cash buyer, they had to be willing to provide their proof of funds. If they were going to say, well, I have the money, no, I really need it for the file. And of course, there are ways to get those answers. And the pandemic has made our job really easy because we're all very motivated to want to have a minimum written standard, because obviously nobody wants to go out with someone who's not a serious buyer right now, right? I mean, nobody wants to potentially get exposed to something, for someone that's not a serious buyer. But having the minimum written standard, signing a buyer brokerage agreement, I don't know what your state uses or if you guys use that. Do you guys have those?
Yes.
Okay. Do you use those?
Some do, some don't.
Okay.
The ones that
Not
do.
a very good percentage.
Yeah.
Okay. I felt that helped me because I put my heart and soul into working for people, and we do all of our work up front as buyer's agents, right? I mean, you're going to get me 100%, and I am going to go find your house, even if it's not on the market, because we have a big client base, and I'm sure you all have a network where you can talk to one another, and oftentimes you can find that listing. But if they want that kind of effort, they've got to commit. So I would insist that that they would sign that they were willing to work with me, because I just couldn't afford to invest a lot of time and effort into somebody that wasn't going to work with me. Does that make sense?
Smart. Totally.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very, very good. Good. Excellent. All right. Please unmute yourselves. Maria, give her a big hand. Thank you so much. Woohoo! All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Very, very cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.